Good morning, YouTube. How's everybody doing today? It's been a long time since I've done a video on here. Um, so I want to talk about, obviously things are just blowing up in the United States right now. And I think, there's just so much going on and there's so much to glean from it, right? Um, I think um, the one of the many things that I'm trying to um, that I'm realizing that I've always kind of known, but now it's, like, really just right in your face kinda thing. Excuse me. And what you see happening before you is the Democratic Party is deciding who the nominee is gonna be, when it should be Democratic voters who are deciding that. And I mean, if you go back to the 2016 election or even the 2020 election, when it comes to the Democratic Party, you can see that that's really what's been going on for a long time and probably even earlier than that. Okay. They go through this process where you get to vote in a primary in your state, but at the end of once it gets close enough, the Democrat elites who are running the show. I mean, we can all assume who those people are: Obama, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, whatever. You can assume what you all you want, who those people are. But those people are then contacting those Democratic members who are running. They want to run for that position of president, and they're saying you need to drop out and endorse so and so. In this situation, back in 2020, it was you need to drop out and you need to endorse Biden because they decided that Biden was going to be the person, even though even back then he could hardly form a complete sentence. Okay, it's certainly gotten far worse. But all this outrage of Biden's, you know, his health decline, his mental decline, it's all been evident since 2020. I mean, maybe even before that. So, but so now you have it. He was the nominee. He was the one that they were going to anoint again, and now he's been forced to drop out. And rightfully so. He shouldn't be right. He needs to step down as president. That's the reality too. He shouldn't be running he shouldn't be running the country, let alone running a campaign. So, um, I you know, that being said, I'm not gonna sit here and say that it's just Democrats. Okay, this does go on in the Republican Party too. Not at the same level, but I can tell you, I live in Wisconsin, and the Republican Party of Wisconsin, they do this. They're doing it right now in the US Senate race. They've picked their chosen one, which is Eric Hovde, and anybody else who's running against him, they go out of their way to make sure that that person doesn't get any visibility. They're not going to support that person. They've already picked who they want to be on the ballot in November. It's not their choice. It's Republican voters' choice, right? And I'm just giving that to you as an example. The Republican Party of Wisconsin has done that in other elections. And I'm sure if it's happening here in Wisconsin, it's happening in other states too, regardless of Democrat or Republican. And this is the problem that we have in this two-party control, is that's really what it is they have control. You don't actually get a say in who ends up on the ballot. You should. Legally and constitutionally, the voters are supposed to get to decide, and that means sorry, I got distracted by a text message that came in. We're supposed to have the voice. Our vote is our voice. We're the ones who are supposed to decide who gets to be on the ballot in November, okay? And that's just not happening anymore. And it's not even just within the parties, okay? The media plays a part in this too. I I can tell you that if the media doesn't talk about a candidate, whether they're Republican or Democrat, if that candidate can't afford to pay for ads to air on television, which is very expensive, you will never know about them. You will never know about them unless you actually do your own research. Um, the media wants to make sure you don't even know about certain candidates. So if those people, the people who are running who don't have the money behind them, which really is the party, okay? The Democrats have the money, the Republicans have the money, and they put their money behind who they want on the ballot, regardless of whether it's the primary or the general. I actually, so right now we're in a primary election season, right? Here in Wisconsin, we're going to the ballot, we're going to the polls on August 13th. Excuse me. And we're supposed to be able to decide who, as a Republican, is going to be on the ticket. But I can tell you that who I plan to vote for isn't going to win because she doesn't have the money, and the media is not going to talk about her because she can't air ads, so they can pretend she doesn't even exist, right? And so and the Republican Party of Wisconsin, they're actually already giving money to who they want in the primary. I'm not against that when it comes to the general election. But my personal opinion, and I would hope that a lot of people would agree with me, that they need to stay out of it in the primary. They should not be backing anyone specific. When it comes to Republican, okay, the Republican candidates, they should just stay out of it and let the people decide. But that's not what's going on here. And again, I'm just using Wisconsin as an example right now. This is going on in other states, in other elections, in other races. You don't get to decide anymore. It's the parties that decide for you. And they want you to vote for people who care about party over people, which is really the opposite of what these candidates should care about. They should care about the people over the party. So, I mean, how do we end this mess? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question other than you must get involved. Seek out your local Republican or Democratic chapter, whichever one you want to align with or do align with. Start going to those meetings. Start getting involved locally. Start seeing what's going on in your local community with these parties because that's where it starts. That's where it starts is locally. So I hope that I'm not. I mean, yes, I'm a conservative. I am a Christian. I am conservative, but this issue that I'm talking about today is not just a conservative issue. It is an issue for Democrats too. If you are a Democratic voter, you should care about this. You should care about whether you actually get a say in who is running. I mean, the reality is Kamala, in 2020, when she tried to run in 2020, she had less than 2% of support from Democratic voters. And now all of a sudden she's going to be she's the chosen one. This is what I'm talking about is you don't get a say. You don't get a say. I don't get a say. The Republicans tried to do this for president. There were a lot of Republicans that tried very hard to keep Trump off the ticket. But the people spoke much louder that they couldn't win it. Okay. I'm not saying that I believe Trump is going to win in November. I still think that remains to be seen. I don't think Trump lost in 2020. It might get me canceled off YouTube just for saying that, but that's the reality. There's plenty of proof that Biden did not legitimately win in 2020. And nobody did anything about it. Everybody's like, "Oh, we need to move on. You're an election denier, blah 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 blah." So now they're just going to repeat it. They're just going to do it again. And this time they're just going to install Kamala. They installed Biden and they mean being the Democratic Party. They installed Biden like he was a toilet. And that's exactly what they're going to do with Kamala. They're going to install her like she's a toilet. You don't get a say. None of us actually have a say in any of it. You must get involved. You must do something. If you want your vote to matter, regardless of whether you're a Democrat or Republican or liberal or independent, doesn't matter. You want your vote to matter, you better get involved and start getting loud about it. Start getting loud. And with that, I'm going to end for today, and I hope everyone has a great day.